You and I were pretty much thick as thieves.
Yeah.
But we went through a really rocky period. Why do you think that happened? Then I had my English wedding and you weren't invited to it.
At first, I just brushed it off as, oh, it's fine, it doesn't matter. But the more I thought about it, the more I probably felt that it did matter.
The true reason for it was this.
Hang on a sec.
Go on then. Hi, I'm Spencer Matthews, and I'm in great company, sort of.
The broadcaster has made history. 30 marathons in 30
This is
days.
Spencer Matthews.
You've known me for 20 years. God, it feels weird saying that, doesn't it?
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know anyone for 20 years. We spoke to some of the biggest names on the planet.
Paul Rudd,
Brad Pitt,
Morgan Freeman.
J-Lo.
We got topless with Channing Tatum.
Yes, we did.
If you could go back in time, would you redo MIC or would you not?
I was a very heavy drinker at that time.
What day do you remember when even you went, this is bad?
If I could walk past a liquor cabinet and there was nobody looking or nobody around, I might have a sneaky shot of tequila or something at, 9 a.m.
How old are you when your bro died again?
10.
Really?
He was my hero.
He goes up on Everest and he doesn't come home.
Even at his memorial service, months later, there was no body there. Even then, I had thoughts that he was living in Nepal.
Oh,
And I was thinking, maybe one day he'll come home.
that's very honest. I've never heard you say that ever.
I don't think I have said it before.
So, at the end of all of this, are we friends? Guys, thank you so much for coming back to Great Company. Firstly, I really appreciate it more than anything in the world. This episode today is a really, it's a big one. It's one of my oldest friends, Spencer Matthews, is on the show, and we talk about a lot of things that we've never really discussed together. We go quite deep, we go very truthful, so I hope you enjoy it. I'm a little nervous about it, but I really hope you enjoy it. Before we start, I just got two favors to ask. Firstly, if you like the content that we're making, if you really like it and enjoy it, can you click the subscribe button? It's completely free and it does us so many favors I cannot explain. So thank you for that. And second thing is, I've written a book. It's called Boys Don't Cry. It's an A to Z of everything that we don't talk about. And I've put my heart and soul into this book. I've been very honest and vulnerable and open and spoken about all the things that I've experienced in my life and how I got through them. So if you know someone who needs this book, maybe it's you, for a friend or a family member, anyone at all, you can go to the podcast description and you can pre-order the book right now. It's called Boys Don't Cry. Okay, it's out in October, but you can pre-order it right now. It's going to help so many people. Okay, enjoy this episode of Great Company with Spencer Matthews.
Are these notes? What have you got notes for, you little weirdo?
Don't you look at my notes.
I told Simon that I didn't need notes for you.
So, okay, well, where do you want to begin?
Well, it's nice to see you, firstly.
Where I see you do.
Yeah.
We did Made in Chelsea together, and you and I, grew up together. From 1920, well, let's call it 21, 22 to 30, you and I were pretty much thick as thieves.
Yeah.
I'd speak to you every day. I would see you most days. We'd do everything together. And then somehow along the line, it changed. And I want to know, why do you think that happened?
It's a really good question. And to be honest, I don't regularly socialize with anyone, really. I think when we used to spend a huge amount of time together, we would also work together, right? We were on Made in Chelsea. We would see each other a lot. We would do Made in Chelsea, New York. Jesus Christ.
But we did. But we had a friendship. We had a friendship of 20 years. We get into that. We had a friendship of 20 years. It's like a big deal. And then I'll let you know. For me, what happened is I had my English wedding, and you weren't invited to it. And that kicked off stuff to not make us friends.
I have to say I found it pretty confusing. I don't need to spend this time going into stuff like that if you don't want. But
you can. I don't mind.
I was pretty hurt by that, and I tried to brush that under the table. And I'm sure it was just I don't want to speak for you, but
yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't malicious from you. Well, at least I'd like to think it wasn't, right? I remember how I found out about that. I was flying back from somewhere and Vogue
Portugal.
showed me a Daily Mail article that literally showed me your London wedding celebrations and loads of your friends there. And I think we had some conversation and you were like, it's not really a friends thing. It's like a family small thing. And there were loads of friends there. And I can remember thinking, what have I done? Or what have I done to annoy him? And then, I don't mind saying, Vogue was just a bit it's pretty it's pretty weird that you wouldn't be invited to that, you know? And I just thought it is a real shame that I wasn't invited to that. At first, I just brushed it off as, oh, it's fine, it doesn't matter. But the more I thought about it, the more I probably felt that it did matter.
Mm.
And I don't know.
And you don't.
You said it was a kind of genuine mistake, and and I was just a
genuine big mistake for me as well, by the way, because I think I was stuck in it.
There must be a reason for it. Like it's obviously not just a mistake.
The true reason for it was this: during the wedding, Soph was very anxious and having a really tough time with anxiety around, you know, getting married. And like I'd put her in doing this podcast all about our wedding, and she had said to me before, she said, I just want to get married with my feet in the sand. I don't want all of this. And you want this, Jamie. I don't want all this. So I was battling, trying to like handle all of this podcast we were doing about our wedding and everything like that. And that was quite a lot to handle. And I was just thinking about her. And I had my stag do, and you didn't want to come to the stag do because...
Well, that's it. I remember now.
You didn't want to come to the stag do, which was fine, which I get. But for me, that was like, well, why wouldn't you want to come to the stag do? And so when it came to the English wedding, I was like, this is all hectic. This is a lot. I was just like, it's going to be complicated if I try and invite him because I don't know if he wants to come because it's going to be like a small thing for lunch. And will he want to come do that? And to be honest, in my head, I just went, fine. It's one thing less to think about. I just won't ask him to come.
Yeah.
And I can now focus over here. And that's why it happened.
For the record, I would have loved to have been there. And I would have flown from anywhere to be there, right? Like you've always been a very important person to me. Stag do's for me, and I know we've joked a lot about this in the past. I don't like the concept of stag do's. I personally think that stag do's make whoever you're marrying really uncomfortable. Maybe not in all cases, but certainly in my case with drinking and you know whatever. It's just the idea of going to a foreign country, bunch of lads. Like to me, it's even in the times where I used to go on stag do's, it's never really sat well with me.
I get that.
You always get very, 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 very drunk, and when you get very, 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 very drunk, there's a tendency to behave in ways that you might not ordinarily behave in.
Yeah.
And I made a decision years and years ago that bachelor party stag do's just aren't for me. I'm just not interested. And it's not because I used to go on them and behave like a menace.
Totally.
Just the general concept of them, I'm not a huge fan of. I should have made more of an effort with you maybe just to say, listen, like please have a fantastic time. Love to come to the wedding. I really don't want to go on stag do because I don't actually like being away with a bunch of guys getting drunk for 3 days. But I don't enjoy it. Like,
but I think now, like I think, firstly, the biggest mistake I made at that is not communicating with you and just like focusing. And I was very selfish. I was just focused on my own emotions and things. So I said to you before, I'm sorry that like happened. And if I could take it back, and even Sophie, still today, is she like, that's really bad what happened there.
But it means a lot. It is completely water under the bridge.
I get that, but now we're having these conversations. It's like a good thing. And then but I also think that because, look, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, right? But I think also because probably at that point, alcohol, I think you're in like the most amazing place with fitness and like alcohol, and you're sober and all these different things. And probably because you were maybe battling around like whether not drinking or drinking. And so you were in a selfish space as well, going, I don't want to put myself in situations that potentially are going to lead me to drinking.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to articulate that to Jamie. I'm just going to say, I don't want to do it because that's not my thing. But in my head, I'm going, hang on, but I would do that for you.
For sure. Yeah.
And so,
it's a breakdown of communication. You know, in retrospect, I probably should have come to a stag do for 2 nights and just not drank. You know, that was kind of selfish of me.
But I'm sensitive to rejection. And so
that's a fair point.
So that's what happens with me. And then whatever happens, you know, we move forward, you know, we get to a point. And then what was sort of upsetting for me, right, is then I do sort of the ultramarathon runs, and that happens. And all the press articles for me and you was upsetting because everything was just around Spencer and Jamie aren't friends. They're not this, they're not that. And, you know, we even like some articles are literally like saying, we got some here for you. Here we go. You ready for this? Spencer Matthews snubs Jamie Lang's ultramarathon after being pissed off over wedding feud.
Right.
Jamie Lang addresses Spencer Matthews' feud with the cryptic 5-word dig.
Oh,
So all these articles,
I wonder what it is.
all these articles started coming out saying that we weren't mates and we weren't friends. And that was kind of upsetting for us. Well, definitely for me.
We spoke a lot around that time.
Yeah, we did.
Because firstly,
but we went through a period, Spen, we have to admit, of not being friendly.
but I think,
and that affected me.
Yeah, but I think it kind of, again, it's communication. I think at the time that this was all happening, we could have chosen to be, I was about to say be men about it, but women probably do this too. We could have gone for dinner or something and just hashed out what the issues were, and we didn't. And so then it kind of feels a bit sour. And then we spend days not talking anyway, because in reality, you run God knows how many businesses, 3, I run 2, I have 3 children. Like, life is just different now.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I don't have the time that I had before to be across all of my friendships in the same way. I'm not a great friend anyway, like genuinely. There's a few people that I'm in contact with semi-regularly, and that's it. Like, you're very, like, I admire your social life as well, to be honest. You're out, you're socializing, you're having dinners, you're out with Sophie, you're out with her friends, you're always doing stuff. We're not.
But why didn't we do that? Why didn't we sit down with each other? Because I think there were two sides. I probably had things and you probably had things that we probably wanted to say to each other.
Well, we've hit the nail on the head a little bit with the confusion with the stag do. So I would not have understood that to be in any way offensive or troubling to you at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. So it wouldn't have even crossed my mind that could even be a potential issue. So for me, the first thing was learning in the Daily Mail that you had friends at your wedding and I wasn't one of them. And I was like, God, I thought we were like best friends, is how I reacted to that. So I was a bit like, then I remember you now explaining, the stag do thing. And I understand that you don't like rejection. I didn't feel like I was rejecting you. So that's where there was a misstep, I feel, because obviously you saw it as insulting. And I didn't realize it. Had I thought it would have been insulting to you, I would have come.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first big disconnect. And then I think we just kind of lost a bit of touch.
And I get that. But then after the weddings, you decided to separate yourself.
A little bit.
Separate yourself. And that for me was like, that was the hard point, because I was like, hang on a second. This is someone that I've got a 20-year friendship with, that I would speak to most days, that I grew up with. And that goes back to that you're able to close off your emotions. And you were able to go, look, whatever this friendship is here, it's not right for me. And I was like, well, I want to try and figure this out. Right. And so that for me was a bit of like a tricky moment. And then I think when I did my ultramarathons and press articles started coming out, I think you suddenly went like, hang on a second, why are we not even talking? Like, why aren't we?
Well, because that's the first time that it was kind of shoved in my face that we're not friends, if you know what I mean. It wasn't hugely intentional. Like, the space was more just exactly that. It was just a bit of space. And to be completely honest, and don't take this the wrong way, I probably wasn't thinking about it as much as you were, to come to you and say, let's fix this problem, because it didn't feel like a massive problem. It felt like there was a hiccup with the wedding. And so I'm just going to give that a breather because it was annoying me.
Yes.
And then when those headlines came out about me not supporting you, I found it absurd, to be honest. Like, because I think that,
because you outwardly, because I think the problem is what happens with the press is that they're expecting you to be posting about it and to be there on the finish line and to be, and actually you've put it quite correctly. You don't think like that. You don't think.
My plan was to post when you completed it, to post a congratulations, and I did story it and not main page. I got loads of shit for storying it and not main paging it. Like, fucking same thing to me. Like, anyway, to me, I'm not an avid social media person.
You don't like social media?
No, I don't. I love LinkedIn. If you're listening, I think LinkedIn's awesome. I hadn't even realized that I had made a mistake, right? So, like, I'm sure it hasn't escaped you as well that these ultra events are organized and curated. This is a sport relief. Was it sport relief? No, comic relief. This is a comic relief challenge. When you were met by your pals along the way, there's been some communication between the BBC and them, or you and them, or whatever. I didn't care at all that I didn't receive that call. I was watching you. I was staying on top of it all. And when you finished, I posted what I genuinely felt was like a 2-sentence. Like, I think I said, I'm really proud of you, and pushing yourself through these limits was really admirable, or something like that. And literally everyone went, "Oh, fuck you!" Like, I was like,
because people thought it was a PR stunt. They thought you'd just done it as a PR
my
stunt.
PR were violently unaware of my post. Anyway, there was so much pressure, and then it was like, I've snubbed you, I haven't been involved, and it's like, firstly,
But what upset you about that?
I would have loved to have seen you along the way. My phone didn't ring. I didn't get asked to come to see you.
Yeah, but that's because we weren't friendly at that time.
The press and the public, not that it's some big deal, but like for a little period, it was kind of like, why weren't you there? And it's like, I just felt like saying, I wasn't invited.
Yeah,
again.
but also it's leaning into a place where it's like there was no way you could be invited because we weren't even talking. So we weren't even friends. So how would then you have been invited? So I get it at the same time. So it's like a catch-22.
I didn't realize that we weren't even friends, to be honest.
Potato. That's up for debate. But
potato.
But I would say, I think, look,
I was very proud of you, by the way.
yeah.
Just before anyone thinks that I was, there was a lot of headlines that were calling me jealous. I'm not jealous. Just for the record.
No, I know you're not. No, I know you're not.
I love success generally. Like, I love people doing well. Jamie doing well is a pleasure to see, even if we're not talking, or even if we're not like how we used to be.
Wait, so when was the last time we did a podcast together, do you think?
Why have you said, do I think? Do you know? It's ages ago.
Why? I have an idea of when it was, because you and I, for anyone who doesn't know, we had our podcast 6 Degrees with the BBC.
Very famous.
Very famous podcast. That lasted 4 years.
Yeah. It was your idea. A very good idea. 6 degrees of separation. You can find anyone.
Yeah.
We spoke to some of the biggest names on the planet.
Paul Rudd.
Brad Pitt.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. J-Lo.
J-Lo.
J-Lo just launched an alcohol brand. She doesn't drink. Crazy stuff.
Who was the maddest person that we interviewed? What interview do you remember we walked in and it was complete chaos? Because I remember my one.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson didn't love us. I brought it up to him when I saw him at Glastonbury.
And what did he say?
I said, do you remember me? And he said, no, I don't think we've met. I said, oh, we have. I interviewed you for 6 Degrees.
And he went, oh, I love that podcast.
And he went, oh, yeah. No, he wasn't very comfortable with
us.
Me, I don't think. Like, he didn't like me, I don't think.
What?
We're since, we've made up, everyone, but,
We used to do these interviews together.
Yeah.
And it would be like Brad Pitt or Aaron Taylor-Johnson or Morgan Freeman, these big stars. And what we would do is it'd be like a junket style thing. So we would go and interview them in a hotel room somewhere in London. You would arrive and you'd go, all right, who is it? I'd be like, well, it's Paul Rudd. And you go, okay, great. What movie is it? And I'd be like, well, it's like Ant-Man 2 or whatever it was. And you'd be like, okay, brilliant. And the way that your brain works is you actually quite live in the present in a lot of ways. So then as soon as we were about to go and you went, oh, God, I'm about to go and what do I say? And I was like, well, we just go and talk. I remember we saw Brad Pitt. You hadn't even seen the film Bullet Train.
It's a shocking film. It was.
You hadn't even seen Bullet Train.
I watched it afterwards. It's horrendous. It's one, honestly, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Bullet Train, don't bother.
When did it go wrong? Do you remember the time that we interviewed Aubrey Plaza? Mm. And I walked in and said, hello, Audrey.
Yeah.
And she went, my name's Aubrey.
She hated us as well, I think.
She did not like us either.
We had a lot of energy sometimes when we would come into. I think it was a lot for Aubrey. She wasn't that interested in us. When I was in gym kit, can you remember? She's like, you couldn't even be bothered to get changed. I was like, well, I'm busy.
We got topless with Channing Tatum.
Yes, we did. He said that we were in good shape. He's not wrong.
Mm. So, and then we stopped it because you wanted to stop it. You had just done your 30 marathons in 30 days.
Yeah. It was. I had the same realization as I had with a number of things. So in the desert, I had these beautiful kind of cathartic moments where,
What does that even mean? Like, what do you mean?
like spiritual moments. I learned about this space called thin space when I did a show about religion, essentially, for the BBC. And it's said to be that space between kind of heaven and earth. You might experience it feeling a gust of wind, on your shoulder, or you might be thinking about a particular person and they call you, that happens all the time to lots of people. But it's this sense of kind of deeper connection. And I feel that sometimes with my brother, Mike, who passed away on Everest when I was 10, when I push myself physically to what, or near enough my limits. So in the desert, when we were, when you're deprived of sleep and you're low on energy and you're in one of the most beautiful parts of the world, the Wadi Rum desert, I felt this kind of deep connection to my brother. And so we'd see these shooting stars, but, I had a particularly bad experience on the first day. I said a prayer to my brother, which I never do. And I literally got on my knees in the sand and I put my hands together and I spoke to my brother. And I just said, please make today better than yesterday and just give me some hope, because I put in a lot of preparation. I ran 2,000 kilometers in preparation for this thing. I put in the work. And we started running, and I was with Johnny, my physio, who is coming on my next challenge. And a shooting star flew across the sky that was literally, I've never seen anything like it in my whole life. It was the biggest. I still don't even know if it was a star or something burning through our atmosphere. It left a huge red tail, lit up the whole sky, and I just felt from that point on that my brother was with me, speaking to me, and it was amazing. I just
man.
And the day was easier, and then I began to feel much more comfortable, and everything
Went into place.
fell into place.
How old are you when your bro died again?
10?
Really?
Yeah, 10.
Well-
Quite difficult to process at that age. Death, difficult thing for anyone to lose a loved one. But
What was your relationship like?
he was my hero. I loved him dearly, but obviously he was in his mid-20s, or coming into his mid-20s, 22 when I was 10. So huge age difference. It's not like we're outside playing sport together or socializing together in the same circles or anything. He was very much my dad would work a lot when I was younger, so he was away a lot of the time. Like I don't remember too much about my dad being at home with us. So Mike was there because James was away racing a lot. He was a professional racing driver.
That's your
at a
older
very
brother.
young age, yeah. And so I was with Mike a lot. Mike and I would play video games together. We'd play hide and seek together. We were pals. And he would look after me, and I would always feel that, oh, that's nice. And I would always feel that.
So this is a picture of your bro.
He made me feel safe, and he made me feel loved, and so did my mum, obviously. But to me, he was everything to me as I wanted to be just like him.
Really?
Yeah, he was a great influence on me at a young age.
Because it's your hero, right? And when he goes up on Everest and he doesn't come home, and how is that even like articulated to you at the time? What happened? How do you even find out at 10 years old?
Language was used with me that was accurate, but that made it harder for me to understand,
So
because
explain.
it wasn't definite. It would be definite to an adult, but not to a kid. So I came up to my parents' room.
Do you remember it?
Yeah. We were in the Caribbean at the time, and my mum asked me to come up to their room, and they said, Michael is lost on the mountain. And to a 10-year-old, I was kind of like, well, I don't understand what you mean. Surely, okay, well, he'll be found. It's fine. It was lost. To an adult or anyone that knows anything about Everest, if you're missing on Everest, your chance of survival is slim. It would be near 0% to survive the night and then be found. It has happened, but it's pretty rare. You'd need to be incredibly lucky. And Michael wasn't lucky. We never found his body. But it was just difficult to comprehend as a kid. It didn't affect me at all for a little while, because
But what do you mean, Spen? How can it not affect you?
Because I assumed that
He was gonna
would
come home.
back. Yeah, for me, he was alive and well. So I couldn't really understand why my parents were crying. I couldn't understand why.
Did you see your parents cry?
Yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't,
man.
but I couldn't understand that. To me, it was kind of like, but Mike he's super strong. He's super fast. He climbed Aconcagua like better than anyone else at the age of 19. He's fit. He's strong. So to me, it was kind of like, this is all a big mistake, and the phone's going to ring, and Mike went down with that. You're a kid. You kind of fantasize about things that aren't possible.
When did you understand that he wasn't coming back?
Well, even at his memorial service months later, there was no body there. So, because, we weren't able to recover his body. So even then I had thoughts that he'd gone down into Nepal and was living in Nepal.
Oh,
and I was thinking, maybe one day he'll come home, and but then I couldn't quite figure out why he would want to do that to us. And then obviously you begin to process maybe I won't ever see him again. But it took me ages to realize that was a reality. Like it never hit me in the way that it would have hit James. James would have heard he's lost on the mountain. James would have gone, he's dead. And from that point on, you begin to process the fact that you've lost your brother. Whereas in many ways, you're happy that you're a child in that instance, because you don't get the gut wrenching pain.
Yeah, but you don't process it as well. You never cried about it.
I'm looking forward to talking to you about crying.
Here we go.
Yeah, no,
because you don't cry. I've never in my life seen you cry ever. I don't think. And the only 2 times I know that you have cried is when you were on a plane. You told me about it. You were on a plane once, and you were coming back from somewhere, and you just couldn't stop crying on a flight randomly.
I used to feel that I had no emotions, but that's not true. I do have emotions, and I can.
You've learned to suppress them.
Yeah, but it wasn't intentional. I think people suppress emotion on purpose. I don't suppress it on purpose. I just don't have access to a range of emotions that maybe a normal person might have. It's just, I don't really have access to it.
Yeah, because I don't think you've learned. I don't think you understand it. In my limited knowledge of psychology, right, and just like knowing you so well, I don't think you. I think when you feel emotion that you don't understand or don't like, you, in my opinion, you'll try and push it away by using things that you know that you can understand. So you drank a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you've spoken about that. So you would use alcohol to suppress certain things you didn't understand, because much easier to suppress it with certain things rather than facing up to it. Or one could argue that becoming an ultra athlete is another, in a way, addiction that you go into because you're suppressing feelings. And I think that 10-year-old kid, in some ways, when your brother died, your hero, that's going to affect anyone. And you took it upon yourself to just protect yourself, and you just closed down, and you went, right, I'm closing myself down, and then I'm just going to get through it without realizing, maybe.
Yeah, potentially. I would say it's subconscious.
Of course it is. Yeah, it's not intentional.
Because I'm a great believer in therapy. I have very regular therapy, even when I'm, killing it in business and in life, and I couldn't be happier. I have therapy.
And so what does the therapist say to you?
I don't see therapy as a place to turn when you need help necessarily. I think it's really useful just to talk about how you're feeling generally, right? I enjoy therapy a lot, actually.
Yeah, but this is new to you.
Quite new. Yeah. So
it is definitely new. 100% it's new, because loads of people don't know this, when I was when I went through my tricky times, I would talk to you a lot about it. Not really anyone, but I would talk to you. I'd say, I feel a bit this and I feel a bit that. And you almost didn't really understand it at times because you haven't experienced, you haven't really allowed yourself to feel anxious or depressed or whatever, because you have this amazing protective way of stopping those feelings coming out.
But would you want to feel anxious or depressed if you had the choice?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to. And perhaps my natural chemical makeup is to feel that way. Like I'm probably more anxious just naturally. So when you see this photo here of your brother, what does that make you feel? Truthfully.
Well, it makes me miss him, because I don't, that age I think is quite specific to to growth, isn't it? And love and,
Yeah.
and your childhood being molded. So take him out of that picture. You've just got, a little boy on his own. And obviously my family have always been there, and I have felt very supported through that particular loss my whole life. I don't know. I think I'll take you through an example of when I did cry, by the way, because you said that you've not known me to cry. I told you about the time on the plane, which was just absolutely, it was the most unusual thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, because you don't understand it.
But that was a I don't know what it was. It was an emotional release of years, perhaps, of pent up.
Yes.
Like I was screaming. I had to put a blanket over my head so that I could avoid people complaining about the screaming woman. On the plane. I couldn't control. It was bizarre.
Where were you coming back from?
I was coming back from Costa Rica. I'd been doing an ultra event there, 250 kilometers through the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
It was incredible. When I finished, I had this this kind of great release. It was this incredible moment for me. And then on the plane, I was watching, what's that amazing Tom Hanks film?
Captain
Otto.
Otto.
A Man Called Otto.
A Man Called Otto is great.
And I don't know what it was, but I was really moved by the film.
Yeah.
And I've, by the way, I've watched it since, and I'm not that moved by it. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it had nothing to, it was more I'm still moved by it, but not in the same way, right?
Yeah.
So like it was this incredible thing, and I ended up just shrieking crying. So my seat didn't go the whole way back, but I had to lean back and put something over my face, and like I was shrieking, like yelling. And it happened on the following flight as well. I was just like,
but why do you think that happened?
I don't know.
Come on.
Maybe I was like,
because you never show emotion.
maybe it's well, there's a bit of that. It's all pent up, obviously. So maybe there's a bit of that, and maybe it's I don't know, feelings of doubt and a bit of self-loathing turning into pride and stuff like that.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go.
Dr. Jamie.
Here we go.
And I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. I felt incredibly proud of myself. I couldn't wait to see my family, and I knew I was flying home to them.
Yeah, but I think, Spen, if I was have to dig deep, because I think you and I suffer with the same slight kryptonite, right? Which is where actually what we really want is to make people proud, and typically our family proud. And that's what we really want at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that we spent our 20s not making our parents proud in lots and lots of ways, drinking too much, behaving badly, just being complete idiots on a television show for so long. And I have... I think I've come to terms with that much more than possibly you. I don't know, maybe you have now, but had or have.
No, I think it's interesting. You and I have never sat in this kind of more serious setting and had a serious conversation. I'm realizing, by the way, like you and I have,
because blokes don't do this.
Well, we've only ever, like, our work has always been tied to making people laugh as well, right?
Yeah.
So you and I have never spoken before in a serious way, and that's dawning on me. Quite heavy. I keep feeling like you've got something shoved up your sleeve or something.
No, I don't have anything.
Right.
I have nothing. I literally have nothing. I swear to God.
No, because I'm not used to chatting seriously with you, to be honest.
Agreed. Yeah.
But it's no, we've had a lot of similar realizations. It's one of the reasons that our friendship has been so brilliant and flawed along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I've experienced exactly what you're talking about. So the biggest turning point in my life, crossing the finish line of the 30th marathon in the desert, was the biggest moment of realization that like my family are so proud of me. Journalists would talk to me differently. It almost becomes less about your ego. It's like you've done something that has forever changed you, and you've felt and experienced things that not many people will experience, but that's not why it's interesting. It's a reflection of who you want to be, but were never able to be before, in my case. This...
Yeah.
Like, the person I'd like to say that I am today is exactly who I used to want to be, but couldn't be, or didn't
find
want
your way
to
there.
be. Yeah. And
But
I suppressed a lot of that with drinking and stuff. I don't love blaming Mike's death on my alcoholism, because I loved drinking.
What did you miss about our friendship?
The laughs. So, like, I miss our podcast.
The reason why I wanted to do this and do yours is because, firstly, Yeah, it is boring when there are articles coming out saying you're not mates and all these things, and every single time that one person is, but I get it. It is boring and it's suffocating. And actually, you're caring about your family. I'm about to start my family, and that's what we care about. And so that, which I get. Hold on a second, but I'm happy, and I missed our friendship. Genuinely missed it. I think you admit that you're a tricky person to be friends with, but I think that I'm that constant friend.
I'm not a
you've
tricky
had for
person
20
to be
years.
friends with. I'm not.
You're definitely a tricky
I'm not
person.
always there.
But
Why am I tricky?
Because you're so involved in what you're doing, and to be a good friend, you have to think about your friends quite a lot, and because you're so driven by your own, which is not a bad thing, your own success and your family, that unless you're in your circle, in your present, then you're blinded to anything else.
That's true.
Which makes you, as a friend, hard to be friends with, because friends Friends are like a garden. You have to water them to keep them alive. That's what they are. That's how you keep a friendship. You have to keep watering them the whole time, and you forget to water your friends.
What will happen if I forget to water you?
But you do. Yeah, that's how you make it. That's how you build friendships. You have to keep doing that.
I agree.
You've taught me a lot in my life, and I've said this to you before. But the reason why I loved our friendship, or do love our friendship, is because you're incredibly unique, but actually underneath it all, you're quite sensitive without people realizing in some ways. And I know that I can ask you about a lot of different things, whether it's family or relationships or weight training or anything, and you'll give me a pretty good answer, and you'll want to help me with it.
That's true.
What is
all of those things are true. Like there's never been a time where I have disliked you.
If we go to the good times, and let's talk about MIC just quickly.
Okay.
What are moments that really stand out for you? We're just like, oh God, what is like a pivotal moment on Made in Chelsea that really sticks out? That was me and you based. Where were we? What were we doing?
Well, New York was. I thought I was having a heart attack in a taxi once. Genuinely, I considered asking the taxi driver to take me to the nearest hospital because I was just on such a mad bender. Like genuinely, I was coming home. It was about 10 a.m. and literally, I was sat in the back of the cab, and I was like, how do I know if this feeling is a heart attack? And I was like, oh my God, I swear that like when your left arm goes numb, that means you're having a heart attack. And then I'm like opening the window going, like trying to get air in, not that that's going to prevent the heart attack. And then like, I'm kind of just like, and then you've got that weird thing. It's like, do I tell the taxi driver that I think I'm having a heart attack, or do I just see if it actually is a heart attack? Or then will it be too late? So no, there was New York was full on.
And we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Meatpacking District, just you and I.
It was enormous, like the trip. I mean, not the apartment. The apartment was pretty cool.
It was tiny.
Yeah.
I slept on a camp bed the entire time, and you had the bed upstairs.
Every single morning for breakfast, we went to this Mexican restaurant called Dos Caminos, which we titled Tos Caminos because it was actually quite shit. That whole time was pretty fun as well, though. To be fair,
it was great times, wasn't it?
It was. I mean,
why do
that was a feeling where you felt like less of a loser. I mean, the behavior, my goodness,
totally.
but like you felt. Like, okay, cool. We're on like a US based TV show filming in New York.
Felt big and exciting.
Felt so exciting.
Felt big and exciting. It was fun.
Yeah.
But there's this
I was big and not exciting. Jesus, it was dreadful. Like, I was just, you'd think that you'd take the opportunity to like, you're about to star in some massive TV show. Just look after yourself a little bit. No, just turn up. Pissed and sweaty to every scene. Do you know what I mean? Massive sweat patches and just like red face and just slurring like in every scene.
What were we doing?
I wasn't even, I don't think I was sober for a single minute. Like, genuinely. It's horrific.
If there was a magic wand right now and you could go back in time, would you redo MIC or would you not?
Like, can I do it, but do it differently?
No.
Okay.
You have to do it. If you go back in time and you do MIC just the way it was.
No, I think I would keep it.
Okay. So you would keep it, but also at the same time, you find it so frustrating to talk about because you believe it paints you in a light that you don't perceive it, which I get. And perhaps it did in certain cases where I totally understand.
But like what I find hilarious, right, is that it's still just there.
Yes.
Like I'm 37. I started Made in Chelsea with you guys when I was 20 or 21 or something.
Yes.
Taxi driver yesterday, right, on the way, like I was heading home, long day. Bloke looks at me and he goes, "So what's happening with Made in Chelsea then?" I was like, "I don't know, mate. I left 10 years ago. I couldn't give a shit."
But does not part of you say that you, through the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Oh.
you entertained a huge amount of people in their teens, in their 20s, in their 30s, you being probably one of the best reality stars to ever exist, I would argue.
Wow.
You truly were, because what was so interesting about you, Spen, is you got it from day one.
We did understand it, that's for sure.
I didn't. It took me about a season and a half, two
Right.
seasons to understand. You from day one realized that you're creating an entertainment show and you have to be entertaining. I thought it was real life, which it was real life, but also you become a volumed up version of yourself. That's what happens.
I guess I catch the occasional clip of it, right, of me back in the day because people send them to me sometimes. Don't do that if you're listening. And it's kind of, I don't know. I don't find myself that funny or entertaining. I look drunk,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I'm not proud of the work. It's great. Then thank you, by the way, for saying that I was very entertaining and that lots of people found it entertaining. That's fine. But it's like,
You're not proud of yourself.
I don't look at it and you know, like you look at Clean Co, something that I've built, I'm proud of that. If you look at Untapped, I'm proud of that. You know, these marathons and stuff, I'm proud of that. I want my kids to see that. I want them to feel like they can achieve anything and that they have someone to look up to in their own house, you know, who has gone out and done interesting and exciting things. So why can't they go out and do interesting and exciting things? Being on a reality show is an interesting and exciting thing, you can argue, but I don't know,
But are you
the portrayal of myself is slightly shameful, I think.
Yeah.
Like I look back at it and I just think, I'm not sure I'd want my son to be like that, right? And I'm not sure that I admire any traits of Spencer from Made in Chelsea if I'm going to refer to myself in the third person.
Do you think you were happy then?
No, not at all. Well, I was having fun in inverted commas. I wasn't happy. I was desperately unhealthy. Like I'm very lucky that my mental health is so robust.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Because I was consuming, not to continue talking about alcohol, but I was consuming so much alcohol, so many late nights, sleep always disrupted. Now that I've grown up and I understand health and wellness, you know, a lot better than I did, and pushing yourself and dopamine releases and boundaries and you know, exploring human potential, I was living the worst possible life that I could have been living in that time. You know, throwing up all the time. I was really unhealthy. I don't look at it and I don't see a fun, cheeky, you know, character who's entertaining and admirable. I see a mess. So that's why I don't love it.
But I also, if I was to, and one could argue that, right? One could go, okay, fine. But you have to be a certain type of person to decide to show your life on a reality TV show, right? So that makes us similar in some ways. And I look at myself in some scenes and I sort of feel sorry for myself because I know what I was going through. And
I felt that for you as well.
And sometimes when I look at you, I feel, and I maybe don't go, but I feel sorry for you sometimes because I think you would, without even you really, I think you're just dealing with a lot. I think you were dealing with a lot of like shame and a lot of grief and a lot of rejection and lots of things. And I think we both thought that being on a show and being in that period would give us everything that we wanted, but in fact, it took everything away.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And also just the general, you know, just when you lose someone close to you very young, I think it's it's firstly we've established that it's hard to process, but it also makes everything else seem like it's not a problem. So I developed this very blunt nature of like, if you had a problem, I wouldn't give a shit about your problem because it's not as big as my problem, and it's kind of like, it's this strange thing where almost nothing matters. It's this strange thing where almost nothing matters. And, like subconsciously after a few drinks, it's kind of like, oh, how do you feel about, the Binky situation? Well, I don't give a fuck about the Binky situation because my brother died. It's always there type thing. The Binky situation is pointless and it's tiny and it's irrelevant, right? Because I lost my brother. So there's bits of that are always kind of there when you're a bit drunk.
That's very honest.
Well, yeah, but also it makes you.
Yeah, but I've never heard you say that ever.
Well, yeah, I don't think I have said it before. It gives you a lack of empathy as well. So I do have empathy, but it's not easily accessible.
Because your brother died.
I think,
and it was so awful. The fact that you've broken up with someone, I don't care because
it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
Who could care less? Yeah, like this doesn't affect anyone. So what?
Wow, because something like that affects.
But
everything.
So that's just a kind of thought that I just had. That I think you can associate.
Makes a lot of sense.
You can associate a lack of empathy with all kinds of stuff, or lack of sympathy, a lack of empathy. But I think that when you have gone through something really turbulent as a kid that you struggle to process for your entire childhood,
yes,
almost everything else feel like your business goes bust. So what?
This is
my family is still alive.
Yes, this is exactly 100%, which I think that's exactly it. This is it. This is what I was saying at the beginning, that I think because that happened to you at such a young age, such a catastrophic disaster, that after that you're just like, well, that doesn't matter compared to what happened.
And
I'm also 10.
I'm not chucking our friendship into that category, but when you come at it from that angle, it's kind of like, to your point, imagine telling Theodore that there's a loss in the family or something, or heaven forbid you lose a child. That happened to my parents, right? They lost one of their sons. And so I'm assuming that nothing could ever be as bad as that ever again in life, right? So you lose a friend along the way. I'm not sure it's going to feel like it matters very much. That's kind of...
Spen, that's it. That's exactly it. Of course. And I can't believe I didn't even put one and one together. Like, that is, of course, it because no wonder you were so blasé about so many things, because it doesn't matter, because I lost my brother.
Well, it didn't matter to me.
No, but that's understandable.
And, if you think I'm a prick because of that, then so what?
If something happened...
that there was a lot of that in my teenage years.
If something happened...
you've really upset this person. I don't care. That kind of hard-nosed, like, I'm just going to do my thing, and if it bothers you, I couldn't care less, is something that I have moved through now.
Because I think now, because I'm just thinking, if I lost Sophie, I wouldn't care about anything. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't care.
But potentially ever again.
No, I don't think I would. I don't. I would find...
I'm not, by the way, I'm not trying to find some blanket reason for having behaved the way I behaved in Made in Chelsea and stuff. No. I'm just drawing attention to the fact that as a young man, that was at the forefront of a lot of thoughts. It's like, it made it. And I spoke to a therapist once about the turbulent drinking, the nature of my drinking, right? Because at one point it was very...
How bad was it as well?
Hard and heavy.
How bad was it? What day do you remember when even you went, this is bad, when it came to drinking?
It got to a point where I began for the first time in my life to kind of black out a bit. Like, I wouldn't know where I was. Like, I'd come to and I'd be like just in some bar somewhere, and I'd like with people, and like sometimes I'd be like, I don't fucking know who that person is. So I wouldn't be sure how I'd got to the place that I'm in. That probably only happened like 2 or 3 times in my life. But it happened towards the very end of my alcohol abuse. And there were times when I think I've told you this before, I would drink quite early in the morning. Like, if I could walk past the liquor cabinet and there was nobody looking or nobody around, I might have a sneaky shot of tequila or something at 9 a.m. And then I'd go about my day and I'd lie to myself about stuff, so And even sometimes Vogues would say like, have you had a drink today? And I'd just be like, no. And all of a sudden you've got this, you're lying to the person that you love the most in the world.
Yeah.
And it creates this slight, albeit slight, lack of trust. And all of a sudden you're living this like little lie, and you know that it's wrong because, you shouldn't be drinking spirits in the morning. And
then
it begins to have an effect on your self-worth, right? Like over time, when you compound behavior like that over a long period of time, you start to feel quite worthless because you give yourself excuses to do it, because you just go, well, I haven't got much on today, or oh, this isn't a busy time of the year for me, and it doesn't really matter if I make it to this meeting or not, and you start to take corners and you start to do less. And for me, that's real, like the house is burning down mentality stuff. I'm a million miles from there now, and I'm really thankful that I was able to achieve that.
Going from a position which you were in, which is where you were drinking a lot and you were cutting corners, you were probably lying to yourself, lying to other people, and then being in the position you are now, 30 marathons in 30 days, business, Clean Co business, great podcast, about to go and take on your next challenge, which is 7 Ironmans in 7 different continents. How different is for someone now, right, who's listening, going, like, maybe they're a casual drinker, but they're struggling with casual drinking, or maybe they're a heavy drinker, or maybe they're thinking about giving. How different is your life then to it is now? Mentally, everything.
I felt like a slave before, whereas now I'm in complete control. And it stems from an immense feeling of self-belief. Like, I look at things and think that I can do them, not the other way around. So I'm lucky in that regard, but that comes from small steps regularly taken, right? So again, it's compounded behavior. Like, you can't go from being a heavy, shameful drinker. This is myself, not, I'm not calling anybody listening a shameful drinker. You can't go from that place in your life to being a world record holding endurance athlete very quickly. You have to make little and consistent changes to your life. You have to walk, you have to get fresh air, you have to put the bottle down, stop drinking, you have to lift weights, you have to go running, you have to just build some physical strength, and mental health will follow as well. I believe they're quite intertwined, the two things. I feel at my worst when I'm traveling and have a really full schedule and can't go to the gym.
Because even like me knowing you and being with you now, like this, and like I said, we've probably seen each other socially, since the wedding, socially once in 2 years.
Yeah.
But being in your presence now, right? And like feeling your energy, it's like your energy is like calm and considered. You're like listening, but also replying. Like the Spencer that I knew when he was, when you were drinking, wouldn't listen, would just think about what you want to do. Your energy is a much calmer sort of person to be around, and you must feel that inside as well. You must feel way calmer in yourself.
I feel great, mate.
Yeah.
Like I feel really, really switched on in an interesting growth period of my life. I feel like I'm a really good father, a really good husband, and that I found a great balance. I'm not boasting; it's just a big change from the last time I saw you. There's been an awful lot of change in my life. I'm not interested at all in drama of any kind. I wasn't really interested in drama when we did Made in Chelsea. It's part of the reason I fell out of love with it. It was just like, oh my God, like I don't care about this person coming in and telling me this dramatic story. I can give a shit, type of thing. And so it's kind of, I don't know. It's there are, I think when you begin to prioritize yourself and your family, things kind of fall into play a bit more easily, and certain things fall by is it waistline or waist side?
Waist side.
Waist side.
Waist.
Wayside. Nothing to do with your waist.
Waist side.
So nothing to do with your waistline.
No.
The side of the way. It's the way line. Christ, I've been saying waistline for ages. And like,
Wayside.
God, you could be, yeah.
I got a message from your mum
Yeah.
because we started this like episode right talking about what we really want in life, and actually, I think what we all typically want is to make our parents proud and people around us proud. That's what we want to do, right? So I said to your mum, I said, "Hi, Jane. I hope you're well. I have a rather large question for you, and to feel totally free to say no. But Spen is on my podcast. Could you explain to me why and if you're proud of him?"
I love the and if. Yeah, imagine she just replies, no.
And she said, she first said, "So happy for you and Sophie." That's very sweet. She said, "We've always been proud of Spen, his nature and his ability to strike up a relationship with pretty much anyone. More recently, what he's achieved through his endurance challenges for admirable causes has been remarkable. He continues to surprise people and grow, and we couldn't be more delighted with him as a son. We enjoy a close, loving relationship on a daily basis, which makes us happy as parents. We love Spen, Vogue, and their beautiful children enormously."
Oh, that's very nice. I love the fact that she referenced we enjoy a loving relationship on a daily basis, which makes her happy as a parent. Because I think that's probably my biggest concern as a father, that you don't do a good job and your kids want to be somewhere else, you know, or your kids don't talk to you for advice.
Has parenting made you understand your parents more?
Yeah, absolutely. Parenting is incredible. I mean, it comes with plenty of frustration. It's awesome, but it's hard, you know, and I don't know, it's very, there's nothing more interesting in my opinion than watching the kids kind of like grow up and develop a character, because they're so different, and it's great. And you can have these like really awesome conversations with them now. But God, you carry a load of shit around the place with you like all the time. It's impossible to kind of.
It's impossible to have these moments. I totally get it. Do you think Michael would be proud of you?
I believe so. I think he would be now. It's funny that you've picked up on my kind of changes in character.
I can feel it. I can feel it on you. I can
but
feel
it's
it
funny.
on
Like I will literally, and again, at the risk of sounding so boring, like, you know, I will, you know, the old me would just do whatever. Like, I won't have a double espresso at a certain time of the day because it might affect my sleep.
Wow.
Like,
and you and your peak, what, drinking how many espressos a day?
Oh, shitloads. But like, I would also drink, you know, hard alcohol until 4 a.m.
Has Vogue been a big part of wanting you to be better?
Wanting to be more like Vogue has had a real impact on me becoming a better person. So I'm making a speech at my brother's 50th tomorrow evening. And in it, there's a passage about admiring people and how wonderful it is in life to have people to admire. And when you admire people, typically they influence you. And, you know, over time, again, it's that act of becoming more like the person that you admire that makes you a better person, I think. You know, obviously people just grow up naturally as well and become more mature. But generally speaking, the people that you choose to admire will shape you in some way.
Agreed. So what do you admire about Vogue?
Her work ethic, how loving she is, what a wonderful mother she is. She puts the children first, always. She puts other people first, but I've kind of learned that from her. Like I generally speaking have always put myself first, but she will always consider the other person. She's a very empathetic person. She's just a good heart, a good soul.
She's a great heart. She's a great heart.
She's a beautiful person, and she's very funny as well. People prefer her to me.
So funny.
People prefer her to me.
Yeah, well, people prefer Sophie to me, to be honest.
I suppose it's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
I've always found your punching, when people tell me I'm punching,
Yeah,
that's a compliment.
it's always a compliment.
But it's bizarre. People say it as an insult. It's
Yeah, but
weird.
it's not an
like,
insult.
you're punching. What? So I'm doing better for myself than I should be.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
I know. I 100%.
The alternative is like, your wife is shit.
Yeah, I know.
That's the opposite.
Yeah,
it's like, that's an insult.
I'm laughing that I'm punching with Sophie. At the end of all of this, so are we friends?
Of course.
Okay, this has been great.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad that we got to clear the air and talk a bit. I mean, we do talk. So this isn't the first time we've spoken. It's the first time we've spent a couple of hours together.
This is the first time, and the first time we've actually like hashed out in certain ways. Listen, I'm about to go into your podcast,
Yeah.
Untapped, so everyone can go and listen to that one as well. But we like to finish with 8 questions, quick fire. You ready for this?
8.
You ready for this?
Bloody hell, are you sure you couldn't have made it 10 or just 8 questions?
Here we go. What's a saying or phrase that makes you smile or cheers you up?
Honestly, anything Gigi says to me. So Gigi, I love all of my. Well, I was about to say I love all my kids equally. It's really hard to love people equally. Like it is. It's almost like it is hard to love people equally. I think. Like, can you love 2 things exactly the same? Like, say you have 2 bikes, right? Like 2 incredible bikes. You're gonna have a favorite. You will have a favorite.
Children and bikes is a weird combo.
No, but it's not really, because like I think the love is unconditional unless they murder someone or something. But like the love is unconditional, broadly speaking. Yeah, so you'd have to do a lot to break the chains of the unconditional love. But within love, like in any marriage or any relationship, you know, you always love the person, but it can be, you know, red hot, and it can be a bit off sometimes. You know, like it's based around behavior. You know what I mean? You know, they're not always. You know, like it can be. So, I think
whenever Gigi says to you that,
my favorite kids, my kids swap for favorite. Sometimes Otto's the favorite. Sometimes T's the favorite.
and
Quite
most
a lot of the time,
Gigi's
the favorite. She's my little girl.
Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
That they're proud of me, probably.
When was the last time you cried?
That's what I wanted to talk about. I can tell you when it was.
When?
That was the second example. Because
What
it
was
was the
it?
thing on the plane.
Yeah.
Remember, I told you 2 examples.
Yeah.
I cried when I left Spain to go to Jordan when the children were there with Vogue, and just before the 30 marathons.
So a year and a bit ago. That's the last time you cried.
Yeah. Yeah. Mate, that's recent. That is super recent, right? So like I cried, yeah, but proper crying though. Like holding Vogue, hugging Vogue, like crying. And that set her off, and she was crying. And it was so unusual because obviously I just don't cry, but I knew that what I was about to take on was like a world first, and it was big, and I was going to be in Jordan. I wouldn't always have connection. I'd miss my kids, and they probably didn't know what I was about to do. And, you know, I hope nothing goes wrong. And I just had all these feelings. I had feelings.
There you go.
I had feelings.
There you go.
Can you imagine? I literally was like, it's great. That felt good to feel.
What's something you can't let go of?
Can't let go of. My brother.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate. Love chocolate. My God. Oh,
Fruit nut. You like a fruit nut?
I like a fruit nut. I like a Tony's Chocolonely sea salt caramel.
Yeah. What's your biggest turn off?
Body odor.
But
turn off in what? In what sense? Just with a person or my wife, or she smells great.
What turns you on?
My wife. 9 years as well. We've been together soon. Can you imagine? 9 years.
What do you
and
like?
I still get turned on.
What do you like most about yourself?
That I have unwavering self-belief. I love my built-in natural confidence, and I love my ability to look at something and go, I can do that. How can we work towards doing that, instead of I can't do that? What can I do to make myself be able to do that? It's the other way around.
Sven, I love you, buddy. You're the greatest. That was amazing.
Nice. Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you.